Night. A lonely highway. On the roadside stands a rusted sign. Rest Area 41. Once, it was a safe stop for truckers and families. Now the lamps are dead, weeds push through cracked asphalt, and the silence feels alive. Locals whisper, people vanish here, without a trace. Drivers tell stories of abandoned cars with doors left open. Inside, toys, wallets, even half-eaten meals. But no people. Police blamed robberies, disappearances, voluntary runaways. Until they found blood. A wide, dark smear across the path leading to the public restroom. That was when truckers swore never to stop again. The story follows a man named Daniel. He was driving late at night, exhausted, his gas tank nearly empty. When he saw Rest Area 41, he thought it was salvation. He parked, shut off the engine, and stepped into the silence. He had no idea he had just entered the place of nightmares. Daniel noticed the air felt heavy. Not a single cricket chirped. Not a single bird stirred. And then, he saw a figure, standing by an old vending kiosk. Motionless. When he blinked, the figure was gone. He tried to laugh it off, until something scraped along the side of his car. A sound like metal on metal. The wind moaned through broken lampposts. Daniel grabbed his flashlight and walked toward the restroom. On the walls, words had been carved deep into the paint. He's watching. Below the words, stains of dried blood. Fresh smears glistened near the floor. Daniel's heart hammered. He wasn't alone. A thunderous bang echoed from his car. He spun around, windows fogged over from the inside. Daniel raised his flashlight. Through the glass he saw a hooded man sitting behind the wheel, a glint of steel in his hand. The stranger slowly drew a finger across his throat, smiling. Daniel bolted into the shadows of the rest stop. His light shook, catching fragments. An overturned stroller. A single shoe. A child's stuffed bear, soaked dark. Behind him came footsteps. Slow. Steady. The killer didn't rush. He knew Daniel couldn't leave. Daniel crawled into the back of an abandoned semi-truck. Inside smelled of rust and gasoline. Suddenly, slam. The door sealed shut. And then breathing. Cold, ragged breathing inches from his ear. Daniel screamed, crashing through the door and stumbling back outside. The rest stop was a maze of shadows. Everything was silent again. Too silent. Daniel staggered back to his car. Empty. On the driver's seat lay his wallet. Next to it, a photograph. A picture of him, taken just moments ago. The killer was not hunting. He was playing. Daniel froze. From behind him came the slow crunch of footsteps. He turned. Headlights flared. And in the beam stood a pale face, twisted into a monstrous grin. That was the last time anyone ever saw Daniel. And Rest Area 41 remains a place where the road itself swallows those who dare to stop. Deep in the woods lies a forgotten creek. The water runs black at night, carrying whispers that no one dares to follow. Locals say if you stop and listen too long, you'll hear voices calling your name. And those who answer never return. Hikers tell stories of vanishing friends near the creek. Sometimes they found shoes, torn jackets, even phones still recording. But the people were gone. One recording captured only rushing water and faint voices. Come closer, just one step closer. The story follows Emily, a student doing research on local legends. She came with a camera and notebook, determined to prove the stories false. By dusk she reached the creek, its surface reflecting the last red glow of the sun. She thought it looked peaceful. But peaceful things can be deceiving. Emily crouched by the bank, dipping her hand into the water. It was icy, much colder than it should have been. Suddenly she heard her own name. Emily. She spun around. Nobody. Only trees. Only silence. When she looked back, ripples spread across the water, though nothing had fallen in. Night fell fast. Emily turned on her lantern, but the shadows thickened around her. The creek whispered again. Not one voice this time, but many, men, women, children. Some begging, some laughing, some screaming. They told her things no one else could know. Secrets from her own past. She recorded everything. But on playback, her voice was gone. Instead, the recording was filled with cries for help. And behind them, something heavier, the sound of dragging, something wet being pulled across rocks. Emily felt watched. Eyes in the dark, just beyond the trees. Lantern light caught a figure on the opposite bank. It looked like her brother, who had died years ago. He raised a hand, beckoning. Tears blurred her vision, but her heart screamed it was impossible. The figure whispered her name again, and began to walk across the water. Emily stumbled back, but the whispers grew louder, surrounding her from every direction. Water surged higher, spilling over the bank, pulling at her shoes. The figure was closer now, its face no longer her brother's, but pale, stretched, mouth split too wide. It spoke with a chorus of stolen voices. Stay with us, forever. Emily dropped her notebook and ran. Branches tore at her arms, roots caught her feet, but the whispers followed. Even when she covered her ears, they burrowed into her mind. Her lantern went out. She fell, face first into the icy stream. Hands, too many hands, clutched her ankles, dragging her down. The next morning, hikers found Emily's camera on the bank. The last footage showed rushing water, then her terrified screams, then silence. Only one thing remained at the end. A single frame of the creek, with a pale face staring up from beneath the surface. There are places people enter hoping for healing. But sometimes, a hospital can be the last thing you ever see. In an old town stands a clinic no one dares to visit anymore. They say a doctor once worked there who believed death was the ultimate cure. Patients came in with simple illnesses, but they never came out. Families asked questions, and doctors replied that they had died from complications. But the bodies were rarely shown. And when the clinic was shut down, investigators found strange things in the basement. Blood stains, and dozens of chairs with leather restraints. The story follows Alex, a student who decided to investigate the history of the hospital. One night he entered with a camera. The doors, though rusted, opened too easily. Inside smelled of mold, iodine, and something sweet, like rotting flesh. The hallways were littered with scattered documents. Patient files, every name crossed out in red ink. On one wall hung a faded poster. Dr. Harquin cares for you. Next to it, a bloody drawing of a face with a torn smile. Alex heard the sound of a stretcher rolling down the corridor. He turned, nothing. But the sound kept going, right beside him. Suddenly, an old surgical lamp flickered on. On the table lay the shadow of a man in a white coat, bending over a patient. And a whisper, "You came too late." In Harkin's office, Alex found a safe. Inside was a journal, filled with the doctor's handwriting. Entries read, "Patient number 23, too weak. Put to sleep. Patient number 41, resisted. Strap down. Patient number 57 finally stopped screaming. The last page. A new one has arrived. His name is Alex. Alex dropped the journal and ran. But the doors slammed shut by themselves. From the shadows stepped a tall man in a blood-stained coat. On his face, a surgeon's mask soaked in dark spots. In his hand, rusted surgical tools gleaming under the light. And his voice. "I've been waiting for you, patient." Alex sprinted through the corridors, but every path twisted back into the operating room. The walls seemed to close in, the lights flickering violently. He heard Harkin's footsteps behind him, slow, steady, like a heartbeat. From the rooms, faces of past patients appeared, eyeless sockets, mouths sewn shut. They reached out, clawing toward him. Alex burst into the basement. Rows of chairs stood there, straps hanging loose, bones scattered on the floor. The doctor stepped closer. "Don't be afraid. I'll cure you forever," Alex screamed. The next morning, police found the clinic door open. Inside, only a camera. The last recording showed blinding surgical lights. The shadow of a doctor leaning over a body. Then darkness. The name, Alex, was erased from the world of the living. Straps lashed across his wrists. Not by hands, but by the chair itself, tightening on their own. The lamp glared down, blinding. The doctor's shadow leaned over, whispering, "Relax, patient. This won't hurt for long." The camera Alex carried toppled to the floor. Its lens caught fragments. The doctor's mask, grinning beneath. Blades hovering. Alex screaming, begging. Then silence. Next morning, police received complaints of light from the abandoned clinic. Inside they found only his camera. The final video ended in static, except one chilling phrase whispered through the noise. "Another patient cured." The clinic remained sealed, but some nights, people claim to see a lamp flicker in the upper window. Others say if you stand close, you'll hear screams from inside. And in the silence, one steady set of footsteps. Dr. Harkin, still looking for his next patient. There is a place outside the town no one dares to cross. A field that seems endless. By day, it looks ordinary, stalks of grain, the wind, a dirt path. But at night, it comes alive. Steps echo there, even when no one is around. Locals whisper about the missing. Someone takes a shortcut through the field and never comes back. In the morning, only their belongings are found, shoes, phones, bags. Once, searchers found footprints leading deep into the field, and stopping suddenly among the stalks. The story follows a young man named Michael. One late evening, he decided to cross the field to get home faster. His friends had warned him, but he only laughed. The field greeted him with silence. Heavy, suffocating silence. The stalks seemed to whisper. The wind carried strange words he couldn't understand. Behind him, footsteps. He turned, nothing. And then he noticed, the path he had followed was gone. The field had closed around him. Michael pulled out his phone, no signal. The flashlight flickered, then dimmed. Through the stalks, a shadow moved, tall, stretched. It mimicked his movements like a reflection. And the deeper he walked, the closer it came. First one, then dozens, calling, pleading. Figures emerged from the grain. Faceless people with hollow eyes. They reached for him, whispering, stay with us." Michael ran. The stalks lashed his face, the ground pulled at his feet. But the field never ended. It stretched on forever. And the faster he ran, the louder the footsteps behind him became. He screamed, only to hear his own voice echo back. His phone slipped from his hand, landing in the dirt. It kept recording. On video, swaying stalks, Michael's screams fading into the distance. Then silence. And finally, a whisper. "Now he's ours."